Hello everyone, you've got Marcel here, large and in charge. So, in the world of MGTOW, we have some fairly solemn times, but I don't think that it's necessarily the tragedy that it may appear to those who are directly affected. There's a dark cloud looming above us, but it does have a very specific silver lining. At least that's through my perspective, which I'm about to share with you. You can agree or disagree. Furthermore, I actually believe that this was intentional, that it was planned from the beginning, and has less to do with the interview that came up, the interview that was placed on some of the MGTOW creators, where that lady went and talked to him. I'll put a link to it down below. Essentially, some people got baited into actually talking, kind of put a face on our ideology or movement, if you want to call it that. I'll discuss it here in a minute. I believe that that actually has less to do with what happened and more that it just catalyzed it. So for those of us who try to make a living on this platform, hundreds, even thousands of videos spanning years worth of work, having something like this happen is the equivalent of an apocalypse. Not even a week ago, I would sit in front of the videos watching to see whether or not the newest edition that I've made, the newest concept that I've covered, would be green or be dragged down into the depths of being gold, which at least for my channel and other creators may have a different experience, reduces the income you can expect from the video by about 90%, as well as affecting its capabilities of being placed on certain locations within YouTube. It doesn't trend the same, it gets throttled back. Most of us are already familiar with the drawbacks of being demonetized, so I won't go too far into depth in that. But to have it actually go where your entire channel is defunded to that degree would come as a shock to anyone. Surprisingly though, in the scenarios where I had a single video go gold, I would be furious. The frustration, I would want to re-upload the video and mess with the tags and work on it. But other than a moment or two of initial shock, once this happened to my channel, I kind of didn't feel much of anything. If you don't mind kind of a humorous analogy, if a bike or something gets stolen out of my front yard or a neighbor flips me off, there's that initial moment of rage, the shock and frustration of it. But in this kind of situation, which in a lot of ways I expected eventually, although I thought my entire channel was going to go down. I would just try to log in one day and it would be gone, which is why I focused so much on at least having secondary channels in existence, even if I didn't put a huge amount of work into building them. So I had a bit of a backup, but in my mind, I had somewhat prepared for this. It would almost be the equivalent to, instead of having those neighbors flip you off or losing a bike, you know, the little things that you don't expect, like looking outside and seeing a zombie standing there chomping at your window trying to get in. I don't believe I would emotionally react to that after the initial shock, because those kind of scenarios have been played through so much on movies and everything. I would basically know how to act and how to react to it once, as I said, the person actually gets through that initial shock. In this scenario, when I saw that happen, I didn't really feel much. I automatically went into the next steps that I needed to do to progress the MGTOW message. How do I save our message, from my perspective at least? And I know I'm not alone in trying to do this. The message is going to go on. They can't do anything to stop it. But from my platform, from my position, what do I need to do as far as next steps? And what can we expect moving forward to this now looming zombie snapping at our necks? I will try to not make this video too long, but I have a lot of concepts that I want to cover, so let's just see how it plays out. First of all, recognize that this is nothing to do with me, or very little to do with me and the creators specifically, and everything to do with you. The people listening to this video, the viewers, the millions and billions of people that click on a YouTube video or on any other platform every single day. Realize that your attention, your time, your actions and emotions are exceptionally valuable. And far too often, they are sold to the highest bidder. If this were truly just about advertisements and car commercials, do you really think that they would care? Almost certainly not. YouTube is a platform that is transitioning from something of an entertainment into almost something that is designed to give news and craft the minds of those who watch it, to control the ebb and tide of society. It's being twisted into something that will allow corporations, governments, and various other powerful political entities to kind of manipulate the masses. They have known about MGTOW for years. I've made several videos covering demonetization on the different channels. I actually had an interaction with a representative of their not the AdSense, but the other one. AdWorks, that's what it is, where I tried to use MGTOW tags to bring attention to my advertisements that I was going to pay for, and I wasn't even allowed to use MGTOW because it was considered sexist. I made a video about it. I'll put a link to it right there. They had a very heinous view of our ideology long before any of this nonsense came up. But they allowed it to continue and grow, even the most extreme and direct versions of it. And I have a couple of hypotheses as to why. See, smashing ideologies like ours in the perspective of like the mainstream, the mass media and the feminist movements, all these big organizations, is a little bit like pulling weeds. Now, obviously, we don't think of ourselves as weeds, but I'm speaking from their perspective. When the weeds start growing, there'll be hundreds, even thousands of little ones. They're all over the place. And if you reach down and you pluck them when they're small, there will be hundreds more that will pop up in their place. And at that point, very little resources and effort was put into growing and fostering up to that point. These smaller channels of people with, less than 10,000 subscribers that have just basically started recording videos, they don't necessarily have a lot invested into that channel, into that concept, into building it. But then you take people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and you're not talking about a weed by equivalent, it's almost like a tree. So when you pull out a weed, there's very little is lost from the person that was putting into it. But if you allow it to grow into a huge organism to where it's got so much invested into that spot, into that life, and then you cut out its roots when it's that sized, you can kill it a lot more effectively. Imagine what's more devastating, tearing out a person who's got 1,000 subscribers or someone who's got 1,000,000 or even 100,000 subscribers. Their entire life could be invested into that channel, and it would truly devastate them and would set an example for other people that were considering covering the same topics. Furthermore, by allowing these channels in our community to grow, they were able to cherry pick the very specific examples that they would want to, quite easily in fact, to make it look as horrible and as heinous as they possibly could. And finally, allowing groups that they disagree with to exist on their platform long enough to be relevant, to be noticed, gives them an opportunity to almost virtue signal that they have done something good as far as cleansing the filth. Granted, keep in mind, I'm speaking from their perspective, by giving them something to crush when they feel they need to look good. If YouTube did an exceptional job policing everything within their platform, and something came awry, something went wrong, they would have very little to act upon to show that they had a sincere response to a problem once it's presented. Keeping in mind that they've known about us for years, and I have my own conversations with them to prove that. They could have demonetized us at any point with the flick of a switch, the press of a button, and they did not. And I think that that says more about what's going on than the fact that they finally have done so. Given their stance about us, why would they bother to wait so long? So what do I suggest we do moving forward? Well, a big thing you're going to hear from a lot of creators is them asking for support. And although that can be frustrating to hear, I do encourage you not to think too harshly about it. A lot of people have dedicated their lives to MGTOW, and although most of us saw this coming, that doesn't change the level of investment that was put into it and the loss of seeing it come all crashing down. Though I honestly believe, actions as far as supporting your creators is an effective, though short-term, solution. If the initial shaming and demonetization does not work, do we really think that YouTube is not going to take further action? It's a little bit presumptuous to assume that they're going to leave us around, right? It's far more likely that they're going to start completely removing the channels that they find the most extreme and weeding their way down. Having left them up in the first place might actually be more of a tool to allow the masses to see us in all of our heinous extreme before finally dealing the blow and removing the channels completely. I say this based on YouTube's activities in the past. If they really thought we were that bad, they could have removed us at any moment, and with virtually no repercussions whatsoever. My guess is that they're milking this situation for every last inch they can get out of it. Furthermore, by allowing the public to be aware of us and then turning around once the public outcry is heard that we're so horrible, they can justify stepping in and taking further actions while having not had to pay the monetization of all that attention that was there by bringing light on us. I have two ideas as to things that the average listener right now could do that would potentially affect the situation. One of which is a real solution, and the other is more of a middle finger, flipping the bird to the powers that be. If you were to ask me what would be something that you could do genuinely to move forward into the future with better control over your own lives and viewing habits, instead of getting filter fed what they want you to be driven towards like a herd of sheep, not to be over dramatic, I would recommend to anyone, look into other platforms. Start experiencing other things. I know we've had issues with Gab and Minds, that they've all got their quirks, but try some of them out. Take some of the power away from YouTube and their capability to really control everyone. Even I'm guilty of this, of taking and instead of downloading my videos directly to other platforms, I simply use the link from YouTube. Why do I do that? Well, there's a lot put into play as far as the quality of the videos goes and the capability and ease of doing so, but I need to break myself of that, because when and if my channel goes down, all those other platforms, those videos I've uploaded by link are going to go dark. By taking back your viewing time, by experiencing these other platforms, just even for a minute, you break free of some of the chains that we all carry on us. I will put links to some of my other platforms down below, and I guarantee you're going to be seeing more exclusive content on every last one of them to make it worth your time, if you enjoy what I've had to say so far within my channel. Then taking a look at any one of those is going to be worth your time. In fact, you can expect to see something this weekend. Secondly, I would recommend that everyone who has learned something from MGTOW, who has benefited from it, take the time to record a video. Share your experience. Share how MGTOW has helped you, and tag the living crap out of it that it is exactly what it says it is. I'm assuming 99% of the people listening don't have a channel that they're concerned with, as far as monetization, that is. Now, I'm not suggesting doxing yourself or doing anything crazy. Maybe if you have a Puppet account, use that. I'm sure a lot of people do. Don't do anything you'll eventually regret in the future. You know what I'm trying to say. Find a way to get a video up that shares your story in an anonymous sense, and make sure that it's known that it's a MGTOW video. If there is absolutely no way you can make your own, pick one of my videos that's your favorite. You have my permission to upload it and post it on your channel as a MGTOW video that video helped you. All I ask is throw a link to my channel or one of my channels down on the bottom of your video so people know where it came from. When you're done uploading it, put a link to it down below in this video right here so that others can see it. Let's see how many videos we can get uploaded for the cause. By either sharing your own personal stories or by sharing ones that have affected your life directly. And by share, I mean re-upload if you can, under your own possibly anonymous channels, not just by using their share link. We can absolutely flood this platform with positive messages about MGTOW. And although their AI is quite powerful at this point, at least it appears to be, it is not flawless. How are they going to argue the evil nature of something that is just receiving swarms and floods of positive input and messages, life stories of accomplishment and success? They may be able to tear down huge channels and demonetize them and all the other nasty things they can come up with, but how are they going to react to that? I'm wanting all of these people that are just newly exposed to our philosophy, our ideology, to go onto YouTube or the internet and see hundreds, thousands of videos of how MGTOW has saved somebody's experience, their life, and how the information has helped them in a monumental way. I have 11,000 subscribers. Imagine for a moment if all of you were able to put up your own video of a positive experience, something that you've gained and benefited from MGTOW. 11,000 videos uploaded. Now there may be fellow creators or people that would disagree that this is a wise plan because it brings more attention to our ideology, but honestly, you don't cower from the storm. When you get opposition like this, you face it. If you back down and cower from it, it just shows that the shaming language is gonna work, that these methods of control are going to work, and they're going to get harder. They're going to come down on us stronger. But if you stand up to it directly, you set an example that we're not that easy to push around. Now finally, what do I see for all of us moving forward? Well, we're mainstream now. Not in the concept of like people are going to know about us and we're going to be popular and cool and all that kind of crap. I'm not speaking of it in that way. I'm meaning in the sense that we've been brought into the light. A good possibility as to why we have just now been demonetized is in reference to the hundreds of thousands of people that were previously unaware of our existence, now flooding the internet, curious and interested to find out what we're actually all about. They did not want us to see any of the revenue from that. I project that despite the change in monetization and all of YouTube's fighting it, as far as us getting any attention whatsoever, that there is going to be an increase in attention substantially because of this. And considering 90% of our messages are about self-ownership, improvement of your own life, focusing on yourself before basically sacrificing oneself to others in the name of basically nothing, as the terms of society have played out, there are genuine grievances that should be heard, and they're being suppressed. I completely realize that not all publicity is good publicity in this kind of market, in this kind of environment, but honestly, at least the messages are going to be heard now. They may think that they've plucked a low-hanging fruit with our ideology. All they've really done is shined a light on their own fallacies. Is there any better place to find the truths of all of the flaws when it comes to society and the way that men are treated than MGTOW? It's like raw truth in liquid form and they're dunking everybody's faces in it. Do they really think no one's gonna take a drink? So to that I say thank you, little insignificant reporter, for bringing all of the free attention to everything that we've been trying to share with the world for years. They may think that the spotlight is going to cause MGTOW to scatter like roaches. This is our opportunity to face it, show what we're really made of. Stand proud, brothers. This is when shit starts getting real. I will be seeing you all again very soon. Until next time, this has been Marcel.